You know, after watching the first episode of Swampthing, I thought it was boring, but then I thought, hold on, let's watch it a couple more times, really dig into the episode, and after watching it 4 times, it was a good episode, but the question is, how good was it? Why was it good? So the episode starts off with 2 researchers on the swamp. Now these researchers are dumping chemicals that have been affecting the swamp and mutating the plant life that live in it, making for some exciting scenes with the roots that end up attacking them. Now this scene sets the tone for the rest of the episode and lets you know that Swampthing is going to be a hard R-rated show. Now these chemicals that the scientists have been dumping in the swamp have found their way to the local residents of the swamp. Now the show doesn't explain how the child in this scene gets sick, but more than likely it's one of the townspeople who have been using the swamp for food. We see more and more people get sick, and they call Crystal Reed, who gets a call to help figure out what exactly is happening with this strange disease. Now right off the bat, they set up her character to be incredibly talented and caring for others, going so far to take off her mask to calm down the child even though she could possibly get sick. Now when Crystal Reed gets to the hospital, we also get an introduction for Alec, who would later become Swampthing. They set him up as an eccentric, one-track mind character, but later on in the episode, we delve deeper into these 2 characters and it fleshes them out more and gives you a better idea of what kind of people we're dealing with. Now the father of the daughter who's sick hasn't been seen for a while, so they go in and check on the daughter's father who was sick and find him stuck to the wall with plants coming out of his mouth. And also they find Alec trying to get a wood sample from the floor. Now they bring this body back to the lab, and this is where Swampthing really shines and shows just how good James Wan's mix of practical effects and CGI is. The same chemicals that the 2 researchers were dumping in the beginning of the episode somehow makes the plants within the corpse move. It's almost as if it has a mind of its own. Now my theory is that the chemical they extracted and put in the children's blood to see how it reacts also made the plant react. I don't think the chemical needs to touch the plants to make them react, which would make a lot of sense seeing as the daughter woke up and was drawn to the corpse. When she screamed daddy, it turned towards her. The plants try to attack the 2 and they escape with the daughter. Alec burns the plants and defeats the monster. Now after this, the show takes a break and introduces the bad guy of the show. We get an introduction to the mayor of the town who hired Alec to study the swamp, following the science as they say in the episode. Now in the town, people are not happy that the children are sick, and you can see how easily he manages to persuade them to calm down. He seems to be researching different ways to get more out of the swamp, which makes me think that he's the one that's behind dumping the chemicals. The chemicals in this episode are explained as an accelerant, and the fact that this town survives so much off of this swamp, if they were to accelerate the growth in the swamp, I think they would be able to get more out of the swamp. Now Alec comes to the mayor with his findings, and he kind of sweeps it under the rug. He doesn't want people to know that the mutagens or the thing that they're dumping in the swamp is the thing that's making their children sick. Now in this same scene, we get to hear about Alec getting another chance, and it's later explained that Alec once found an amazing discovery. It doesn't say what was discovered, but it says it's an amazing discovery, but he couldn't replicate the results, and he manipulated the data to make it more believable. And it's in this scene that Abby and Alec share a drink and open up more about each other. We find out that Abby is the reason why one of her friends dies, only to be interrupted by the data being printed, which brings us to this scene that we have all been waiting for. The origin of Swampthing. Now the 2 find out that there are hotspots where the swamp is acting strangely, specifically in certain spots, and the 2 go out to find out what's going on in these spots. They come across the boat that's from the beginning of the show, and they find boxes that are sunk deep into the water that are releasing this chemical into the swamp. Now they bring it back to test what it is, and it's the same stuff that Alec extracted earlier in the episode. The same thing that affected the blood of the child. And the same thing that I think the mayor has been dumping into the swamp to get more out of the swamp, like he said when he tried to calm down the citizens of the town. Alec goes out into the swamp by himself to find these other hotspots, and this is where he gets shot down by most likely the mayor or someone that was hired by the mayor. A dynamite is thrown to the boat and forces Alec to dump his body into the swamp. Now the same people who looked at the swamp in the beginning of the episode had the same kind of dynamite, and those were hired by the mayor. Now seeing as this is the same dynamite, it further proves my theory that I think the mayor is trying to stop anybody coming close to the swamp. Now Alec does die, and the roots start digging into his body, transforming him into Swampthing. Meanwhile, Abby is looking for Alan and finds the explosion and figures out that he's probably dead. She sees Swampthing and gets extremely scared and runs away, and that's where the episode ends. So my thoughts on this episode is that it was a good start. They needed to build these characters and build the backstory for each of them and set up the villain in the first episode. And while it was disappointing that we got to see such little of the Swampthing, I think in the end the tentacles and the practical effects and the CGI played a big part in me liking this episode. The actors also did a decent job. They didn't do a mind-blowing job, but they got the job done, and I enjoyed their performance in the episode 1 of Swamp Thing. I'm giving episode 1 of Swamp Thing a 7.5 5 out of 10, and I'll stick with this series till the end. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for the next episode recap, and leave your thoughts about the episode in the comment section if you watched it, and tell me if this recap made you want to watch the show. I would love to talk to you guys about this episode in the comment section below. Thanks for watching my recap of Swamp Thing Season 1, Episode 1 titled Emerald Heart, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.